Hello, Mr. Kendrick, sir. I can call you Bob, right? Can I?
Please call me Bob.
Okay, well, Bob, thank you so much for taking the time to be on my podcast. It's really great, and it's a nice thing of you to just take the time.
Yeah, no, happy to do so. I always enjoy the opportunity to talk a little Negro Leagues history, baseball history, anytime that there is an opportunity. So thanks for having me on the show.
You're welcome, Bob. Now, I actually want to start off talking about a little baseball because it just happened recently. But to start off, recap of World Series, man. Oh my gosh. Insane. The back and forth. You had Will Smith's a home run, then Rojas's. I mean, it was absolutely crazy. And to be honest, I was a little more biased to the Blue Jays, but
Yeah, well, I know what you mean. It was such an exciting World Series, a bunch of cliffhangers, and in my world, I got friends on virtually all of these teams, so it's hard for me to root for either team, so I could kind of watch it neutrally. Dave Roberts, who manages the Dodgers, is a dear friend of mine in the museum, and of course, the Blue Jays organization has always been so generous toward the museum, and they always come in and talk up the museum every time the Blue Jays come to town. And we've got a lot of Canadian fans who have fallen in love with the Negro Leagues because the Blue Jays continue to give us a platform to talk about this history. So I could just kind of watch it as a neutral fan since my Royals were not involved. But it was a lot of fun. Now, I'll be honest, Blake. I fell asleep on that 18 inning game. I fell asleep about the 15th inning and missed my man Freddie Freeman hitting that home run. I woke up in time to turn the TV off, but by that time the damage had been done. The game was over. But I mean, what a crazy game that was! 18 innings, man. But that whole series was like that, and I'm sure Toronto feels like they had every opportunity to win that series because they did have every opportunity to win it, but the Dodgers went ahead and did what they needed to do, and now they're back-to-back champs.
yeah, and I think the reason why they had that back and forth is because both teams have really amazing players, and I just think they really tried, and it's so insane to think about how many innings there really was. It just shows you, man.
Yeah.
But you told me actually about some friends you have in the MLB. Could you tell me more about some of your greatest friends in the MLB?
In my line of work, we get a lot of major league teams that come by to tour the museum. And it's really interesting, Blake, that early on, I used to have to try and call the teams and try to convince them to come to the museum. Through the years, we've seen that shift to where now they are reaching out to me, wanting to come and experience the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. And that makes all of us feel good because word is starting to spread about how important this place is. And no sport holds to its history quite like baseball does. It's that one sport where we consistently compare the stars of yesterday with the stars of today. And I'm going to venture to say that whoever your favorite baseball player is right now will likely always be your favorite baseball player. And that's just how this game is. For me, it was Henry Aaron, the late, great Henry Aaron. And so, in my mind and my heart, there will never be a baseball player better than Henry Aaron. Like, even if they are better than Henry Aaron, I'll never admit it. But that's how baseball is. And so, earlier this year I had the St. Louis Cardinals come by, and Victor Scott and Jordan Walker, two of their young stars, came by. And the first thing they both asked me was to tell them about John Donaldson, because apparently John Donaldson in MLB The Show is virtually unhittable. And they wanted to know about this dude named John Donaldson, who was one of the greatest pitchers this game has ever seen. The fact that he is not in the National Baseball Hall of Fame is an absolute travesty. I hope within the next few years that we can change that and get Donaldson rightfully where he should be in the National Baseball Hall of Fame. But we've had some of the biggest names in this game come by to tour this museum. Last year, Aaron Judge came by, and Juan Soto came by, and the list just goes on and on and on. The players who come in to experience this museum, I get the absolute joy of getting to walk them through this museum. And man, let me tell you, it never gets old. It never gets old for me. I so much enjoy sharing the stories of this piece of baseball and American history, and then seeing their reactions to this story. And that's where the reward comes in for me. And so I'm just so thrilled that so many of the young athletes want to come by now to experience the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum.
Hey, I think that's great, and I think what you guys are doing over there, spreading this history, is just been a great thing itself. And I gotta say, I kind of feel you on needing to reach out to people just to start because with my podcast, I've always had to reach out to people, then they get me in contact with other people, and you telling me that everything's going great now, I am really happy for you that everyone's just reaching out to you now.
Yeah, it's a constant. You're constantly trying to build, you're constantly trying to grow. You want as many people as possible to be touched by this history. It's such an amazing story that the moral majority of us just simply didn't know anything about it. And Blake, it was not because we didn't want to know about the Negro Leagues. There was simply no way for us to know about the Negro Leagues. This history is not in the pages of American history books. So many of us who are much older than you are have gone through our formal educations without knowing one of the most significant chapters, not in baseball history, but in American history. And that's the rich, compelling, inspirational story of the Negro Leagues, a history whose origins began right here in Kansas City. As a matter of fact, just right around the corner from where my office is where the Negro Leagues were established, an old YMCA called the Paseo YMCA. That's where Ruth Foster led a group of 8 independent black baseball team owners into a meeting. And then on February 13, 1920, they walked away having established the Negro National League, the first successful organized black baseball league. The Negro Leagues would then go on to operate remarkably for 40 years, from 1920 until 1960, when it formally ceased operation. Now, there were still a couple of teams, the Kansas City Monarchs and the Indianapolis Clowns, that were still playing even after the official Negro Leagues had shut its doors. But we say for a period of 40 years, from 20 to 1960.
Thank you for sharing that history with me, sir. And it's so crazy to think that this happened, and it's also great to think about. And again, thank you for sharing that with me. I want to keep that in mind from now on. And
Well, and something that you just said is so important because, as I tell folks, the circumstances that dictated a need for a Negro League, that's very sorrowful. Segregation was a horrible chapter in this country's history. But the story of the Negro Leagues itself, no, this is rising above that adversity. You won't let me play with you, then I'll create a league of my own. And that's the spirit that you feel when you come through this museum. It is such a triumphant story. And of course, it gave a playing field for some of the greatest athletes who ever put on a baseball uniform. And so it gave a place for both black and brown players to showcase their world class baseball abilities. And what I love about this story, and having been so blessed to know so many of those old former Negro League players, and of course, we're losing them at an alarming rate. They're all dying. And in the not so distant future, Blake, there won't be any Negro League players still alive to attest to what their story was all about, which is why this museum is so important. But they just love the game. And they love the game so much that they were willing to endure whatever they had to deal with to play this game. And that's what drives this story is that pure love of this game. And as I tell my young major leaguers, they play the game because they love the game. And they make a great living playing this game that they love. But man, if they had to play it for free, they would still be playing this game. But as I also share with them, you will never see a greater example of love of the game than you do when you walk through the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum because Blake, they had to love it in order to endure the things that they had to endure when they were traveling this country, not knowing where you could stay, not knowing where you could get something to eat. So, yes, they would oftentimes have to sleep on the bus and eat their peanut butter and crackers until they could get to a place that might offer them basic services. But what you have to admire about this story, man, they never let that kill their love of the game. So if I got to sleep on the bus, if I got to eat my peanut butter and crackers, then so be it. I'm going to keep playing ball. And that's what drives this story. And I think that resonates with every person who walks through that museum. You walk away cheering the power of the human spirit to persevere and prevail.
Yeah, I mean, it's truly a thank you again for just helping me understand this because segregation really was a horrible thing, but it's something that, people had to go through and people had to push through. And I think you talking about the love of the game, it really helps me think, love is something that drives everyone. For for example, Albert Einstein, he had a love for exploring, a love for science, a love for understanding, and that's what led him to find out all these amazing scientific discoveries, find them. Christopher Columbus, he loved to explore, he found the Americas. It's just like that. Your love drives you, and that keeps you persistent and going and leads you to great things.
Well, and that's what drives me every single day, to be a steward of this story. I fell in love with this story, and I fell in love with the amazing athletes who made this story. And to be honest, Blake, it was their spirits that grabbed hold of you because none of these players that I've ever met, none of them have ever expressed any anger or ill will toward anyone who may have attempted to perpetrate something against them. They wanted you to know how much they love this game. Yeah, that and when you talk to them, that's exactly what they wanted to share with you. Just the joy that they got from playing baseball. Did they like the things that were happening to them when they were traveling this country? Of course not. But they wouldn't let that kill their joy of this game. And there's a message in that that I think is beneficial for everyone who experiences the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum and starts to delve a little deeper into this incredible baseball and history that is represented here.
Yeah, I gotta say one thing. I think what one message is harsh times create humble people. I think that's how it's gone for a lot of people, especially in today's celebrities and everything. They
Yeah.
went through hard times and they are at where they are now. It's really inspiring.
Well,
Just
you have to be resilient. There's a resiliency that goes along with that, that gives you the wherewithal to deal with whatever you might have to encounter. Uh-huh. And I think that they are a testament to that level of resiliency, perseverance, determination, and courage. Yeah, the courage that they demonstrated was also incredible. And that's something that we want all of our children to experience. We want you to, as I like to say, dare to dream about the possibilities that are there for you today. And at the crux of this story of the Negro Leagues is their willingness to dare to dream. Now, they dared to dream about playing this game. They had no idea they were making history. And as I tell people all the time, Blake, they didn't care about making history. They just wanted to play ball. But that love of the game of baseball helped change this country. It changed the game, but more importantly, it helped change this country for the better. And that's the bigger picture that we share here at the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum.
Sir, I just gotta say, you're teaching me a lot here, and I think I still have a lot more to learn. And definitely one day when I am in Kansas City, I definitely want to visit so I can absorb this stuff
Well,
way
well,
better.
first and foremost, I got to ask you now: are you a fan of barbecue?
Oh my god, I was gonna bring this up, but yes, I am. And I gotta know, where are we eating when I come?
Oh
Where
man, now there's so many great places. Kansas City is the barbecue capital of the world. So when you come to Kansas City, we gonna go eat some ribs together. I'm looking
Yes.
forward to that, man.
Hey, and I know Kansas City, they got some of the best barbecue sauce, and I think sauce is the boss. So that's like that
But,
personal opinion.
the sauce is important as well. And KC has his own style of sauce that is so very unique. And we've got some great establishments here in Kansas City. No shortages of great barbecue places. So barbecue and baseball go hand in hand.
Oh yeah. Hey, it's like having a grilled hot dog in the stands. I mean, it's true. It's definitely true.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Now, I actually hearing about all the love of the game, how they did it for their love of playing ball.
Yes.
Could you tell me, maybe about a player that I might not know,
Mhm.
but why I should know them?
Well, there are a lot of them. One of the first ones that come to mind is a ball player by the name of Oscar Charleston. And my friend, my dear friend, the late great Negro League legend Buck O'Neill, would say without hesitation that Oscar Charleston was the greatest baseball player he ever saw. Now, he thought the great Willie Mays to be the best major leaguer that he ever saw. And of course, Willie Mays' illustrious professional baseball career began as a 17-year-old kid patrolling center field for the Birmingham Black Barons of the Negro Leagues. And he is widely regarded by a lot of people as having been the greatest major leaguer because Willie Mays, Blake, could beat you every way in which you could be beaten. He could beat you with his bat. He could beat you with his arm. He could beat you with his glove, and he could beat you with his legs. Uh-huh. But Buck O'Neill believed the great Oscar Charleston, who hailed from Indianapolis, Indiana, to be the greatest baseball player he ever saw. Oscar Charleston was an early era Negro leaguer who could do everything, the consummate five tool player. So he hit for power, could hit for average, could field, could run, could throw. In 1921, while then playing for the St. Louis Giants, he had one of the greatest single seasons, not in black baseball history, but in baseball history, when he led the Negro Leagues in home runs, triples, doubles, stolen bases, and batting average in the same season. Yeah, no, he was absolutely incredible. And the great Buck O'Neill says he never saw a center fielder who could go back on a ball the way Charleston could. Uncanny instincts. Just seemed to know where that ball was coming down right off the crack of the bat. And so he was just a beautiful ball player. And then another player that comes to mind that you might not have heard of, but you should. And that's the great Cuban ball player, the great Martin de Higo. He hailed from Cuba, and his nickname was El Maestro, the master, because he could do it all. Played all nine positions and played all nine of them well. He is the only baseball player in the history of our sport to be enshrined into five different countries' baseball halls of fame. He's in the Mexican, Cuban, Venezuelan, Dominican, and in Cooperstown. I posted something during the World Series when we saw Shohei Ohtani, before the series started, pitch, hit the three home runs in the game. Well, in 1938, Martin de Higo was playing for a team called Veracruz, and they're playing in the Mexican League. And Martin de Higo wins the Triple Crown. He wins the pitching Triple Crown. He goes 19-2. He struck out 184 to lead the league, and posted a ridiculous 0.90 ERA. But the story gets even better. He hit 387 that same season and won the batting title as well. And then in the championship game, he's facing the legendary Leroy Satchel Paige, and they are in a pitching duel. The game is tied 1-1 in the bottom of the ninth inning. Dihigo and Satchel, and then Dihigo comes to the plate and hits a walk-off home run to win the game. So he's the winning pitcher. He gets the winning hit, and guess what? He was also managing the team, and so he won the game as a manager as well. And he is just an incredible ball player that far too many people have not heard anything about because he played so long in the Negro Leagues and he played in all those Spanish speaking leagues as well. But yeah, Martin De Higo, we have a life size statue of him here at the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum on our Field of Legends. And it's eye opening to so many people that a ball player of that magnitude, and virtually none of us know anything about him. But that's why this museum is so important because we introduce these new baseball heroes to you.
Oh my god! I mean, that what you just told me is like a new level of incredible. I never heard of him, and I wish I would have sooner because that is insane, just insane. Oh my god! Whew. Now, actually, let me say something real quick. My dad said that the museum touched his heart, and he was honored to oh my god. My dad said the museum touched his heart, and he was honored to meet you.
Yes.
And I also want to say my dad's a great man, and he knows what he's talking about. And I know you and me, because of what my dad said, are gonna have a great time once I get there.
Oh
You,
man, I can't wait for you to come out and experience this place and get a chance to see what Kansas City is a great town. It really is. And we're so proud that it is the home of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. And the fact that we operate in the very same area that the Negro Leagues were established here at historic 18th and Vine, which in its heyday, oh man, was as recognized street cross section as there was anywhere in the world because you had this combination of baseball and jazz. All the legendary jazz stars made their way to Kansas City, but specifically here to 18th and Vine because if a jazz musician couldn't get a gig anywhere else in this country, they could come to Kansas City and they'd have plenty of places to get gigs because all the restaurants had live music, all the hotels had live music, and of course you had nightclubs galore here at historic 18th and Vine. So anybody who was anybody made their way here to 18th and Vine. It was that cultural crossroads. And in many ways, it still is because people come from around the world to stand on the corner of 18th and Vine and get their picture taken with that historic street sign.
hey, when I get there, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to visit the street, take that picture. Then maybe we could go to a Royals game if you really want to. We could have a picture.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the perfect way to come to do this. You know, you come visit the museum, you eat a little barbecue, and then we'll go out to the sea and watch my Royals do their thing.
Yes,
That's a heck of a trip there, man.
it sounds like a really good one too. Oh, and tasty one, and tasty one.
And tasty one indeed.
Now, I actually want to talk about something very fun. If you know, you know, but banana ball.
Oh yes,
With the new team coming, I
yes,
want to know: are you involved at all
I
with
am.
the Clowns team?
I am. I am. I was there in Savannah to help make the historic announcement of the return of the Indianapolis Clowns as one of the two new banana ball teams. And Blake, I tell you what, man, I was so overwhelmed by the outpouring of love for this announcement and how excited people are. to have the Indianapolis Clowns come back to life again, because the Indianapolis Clowns were doing what we now see the Savannah Bananas do. The Clowns were doing that in the 1940s. Uh-huh. They brought that combination of baseball and entertainment, and the fans just flocked to see their games, just like the fans are flocking now to see the Savannah Bananas and the other banana ball teams. And so I'm excited that we were able to work out this partnership with the Bananas. I'm even more excited that my dear friend Ryan Howard is going to be the primetime manager of the Clowns. So he'll be making some stops in some of the various markets that we'll be going into next season. And I am really looking forward to seeing the return of the Indianapolis Clowns. I think I saw your photograph wearing a Clowns jersey, number 5. I had my Clowns jersey, number 5, because that was the number of
Oh,
my all time favorite ball player, the legendary Henry Aaron.
hey, you know I had to represent because
You
Hank
did?
is the man. He is.
No question about it. And you represented very well. And we're super excited about this because it too is going to help expose Negro Leagues history to so many fans. You know, they're going to draw over 3 million fans in this upcoming season. And we have an opportunity to enlighten so many more folks about the history of the Negro Leagues and why the Indianapolis Clowns were such an important team, particularly as it relates to the antics that have now become so popular with the Savannah Bananas and the other banana ball teams.
Yeah, and one thing I gotta say, having them draw this many people, first of all, very good for you and getting this out, but also it's insane. I was there for one of their games in Colorado. Oh my god. Coors Field was sold out for once.
Sold out. Sold out. They have a waiting list, folks trying to get in to see them. And it's just exciting. I mean, I'm so thrilled what Jesse Cole, who owns the Bananas, and the vision that he has to make it fan first. You know, because that's what it's all about. How do you engage the fans around our sport? And they're drawing so many young people and their families back to our game because it's so wildly entertaining, but it's also great baseball. And I think sometimes people kind of get a little twisted that they don't think the baseball is up to par, but the baseball is great baseball. These are some very talented athletes who they teach all the routines and the entertainment aspect of it. But these kids can flat out play. You know, you got a kid riding a unicycle who can hit a 93, 94 mile per hour fastball on a unicycle. Now, that's an athlete there.
Hey, first of all, banana ball is amazing. Okay, that we got to end off with that. It's so fun. It really is amazing, and I also with everything going good for you, I want to help and continue to support the Negro League Museum and you, Bob. I really want to help out here, and I want to continue that.
Well, I appreciate that, man, because we can't ever get enough voices talking about the work that we do here at the museum and about this amazing piece of baseball in American history. And so it gets even more exciting when there are young people like yourself who are now engaging around this history. And that's why I've been so excited about the success of the Negro Leagues being in the video game MLB The Show, the biggest baseball video game in the world, because it has now opened up this history to millions upon millions of young people and young adults who, to be quite honest, Blake, I'm not sure they would have ever thought about the Negro Leagues had we not included them in the video game. It's by far been one of the biggest initiatives this museum has ever embarked on. It has absolutely turned me into a household name in the gaming community because I'm in the game telling stories. And so many people who play the video game, they've been coming to the museum because they saw the museum in the video game and they all want to meet the guy that's telling the stories in the video game.
That is a good way to connect with young people, and I would know.
Yeah, no, it really has been. And I get kids, they come in, they want to show me how Satchel Paige did his double pump wind up. They want to have the high leg kick like Satchel, and they want to throw the B ball like Satchel threw the B ball. And I tell you, it touches me in my heart because that's exactly what we hoped would happen when we engaged in this partnership with Sony and PlayStation to include the Negro Leagues. Because you see, Blake, there's this false narrative that children don't care about history, but you guys do care about history. But it's also very important that we package history in a way that is interesting for you. So when we put the Negro Leagues in the video game, something that you were already accustomed to engaging with, and we started telling these, putting these short vignettes together. And I guess a guy that tells a pretty good story, and you put a killer soundtrack behind it, and voila, the kids have just absolute. I'm still somewhat surprised at how much they are loving the stories. I knew they would love these players. I mean, what's not to love about the swagger of Satchel Paige? Or the mythical like power of Josh Gibson, but the power was very real, or the blazing speed of Cool Papa Bell. So yeah, no, I knew that the gamers would love these players. I have been pleasantly surprised at how much they are loving the stories that I share in the video game. And it has been just an amazing collaboration with San Diego Studios, who they are the ones who put the game together for the various devices that these games are part of now. And it's just been an amazing partnership that has been so important to helping, I think, grow the interest in the Negro Leagues.
Yeah. And another thing for me is I personally care about history, and I really do mean that because history to me is helping me understand the future. Because if you don't know what's happened in the past, you don't know what's in
Absolutely.
the future.
Absolutely. And that's why we enjoy sharing these stories. And for those of us who are baseball fans, we are introducing new baseball heroes through this mode and medium. And it has just been such a big undertaking. And this is, Blake, around the globe. This is just not here in the US. This is around the world that people are falling in love with these players from the Negro Leagues because they're getting to engage with them in that video game.
Yes, and I think the ways you guys are finding to connect with everyone, they're great. You guys have some smart people over there. You know
Well,
what you're doing.
well, we think we know what we're doing. We're trying, but I think what is so important is connecting the dots. How do we make history meaningful to you today? Because sometimes it's so easy to say history for history's sake, but it can't always be that. I need to show you how this history applies to what is happening in your world today. And I think that's what we're always constantly striving to do is to make this history relevant to what is happening in your life today. How can we apply the life lessons that stem from this story of triumph over adversity so that hopefully you can use it as a tool as you grow through your own life and when you deal with challenges, whatever challenges there might be, because as human beings, we're all going to encounter adversity in our lives. It's good to have something that you can draw from that shows you what others did to overcome the adversity. Yeah. And that's why I say there's so many life lessons that come from this amazing story of these incredible athletes who, when it's all said and done, they just wanted to play ball, but they left a legacy along with that love of the game.
Man, I really do agree with everything you said to me and connecting the dots. everything. I know I'm being a little scrambled, but I am taking in as much as I can. So,
Well, and what I love is you're going to be sharing this with your peers. And through this effort, we're going to get other people who are going to take a look at this history just because they heard it come from you. They follow your show, they're following your lead, and that excites me, man. Because, like I told you, we can't have enough foot soldiers out there. We can't have enough advocates talking up this history and how important this museum is, and that means a lot to me.
yes, yes, sir. Now, I need to say one thing. I think we need to get into a world where people recognize people and players like no Gibson, Josh Gibson,
Yes,
more as an important baseball player to them, more as one of their favorites, more as someone they love. Because not a lot of people, if you come up to them and you ask them who's your favorite baseball player, not a lot of them are gonna say a Negro League player.
no, they're not. But what I'm glad is, and this is part of the success of the video game, is that I'm starting to hear about stories about more and more guys who are now in the Negro League that people didn't know. And I was my good friend, the great writer Joe Posnanski, told me a wonderful story about an interview that he did with someone in the UK. And after he finished his interview, the interviewer asked him and said, "You know who my young son, maybe about 5, 6 years old, you know who my young son's favorite player is?" And Joe thought he was going to say, Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, somebody like that, some current athlete. And he didn't say that. The young child's favorite player was a Negro Leagues player by the name of Hank Thompson. Now, I'm going to tell you now, very few folk knew who Hank Thompson was, even though Hank Thompson plays an important role in Negro Leagues baseball because he's the only player to integrate two major league teams. So he would integrate the St. Louis Browns, and then he would also integrate the New York Giants. And Hank Thompson was an outstanding player, but he's not one of the household names from the Negro Leagues. And his young kid had fallen in love with Hank Thompson because he played Hank Thompson in the video game. And Hank had become his favorite ball player because he loved playing with him in the video game. And again, he's in the UK. And so that's the worldwide appeal that is happening. And hopefully, more and more folks will have new baseball heroes to fall in love with, these legendary stars of the Negro Leagues.
Yeah, and hearing about how widespread this is, again, I want to say everything you guys are doing to really get this out here. I think you have some perseverance, you guys, as yourself, just to get their perseverance out, to tell their story. You guys are all about that, and you are amazing at it. Now, I actually want to talk to you about another thing. I see you have all this stuff in the background. I see a couple cards back there. I want to know, do you collect cards at all?
I used to collect them when I was your age. Yeah, I had a shoebox filled with cards. And here's how we were. I think about this sometimes, Blake, and I think about all the money we threw away. Because back then, I used to buy the baseball cards because we actually liked the gum that was in the baseball cards. And then we'd take the card and I'd get my mother's clothespin and put the card in the spike of my bicycle, and it made this really cool noise. And I think about all the money that I threw away because I had some great cards and I threw them away, put them in the spike of my bicycle. But that's kind of what we did. But I tried to collect the cards when I was your age. I stopped, but we have a great card collection here at the museum that I'm really proud of that were donated to the museum by a guy out of Topeka, Kansas, and it highlights a lot of the Negro League players who transitioned into Major League Baseball, and people really enjoy looking at that collection of cards that we have on display here.
And when I come there, I know I'm definitely going to enjoy that because I personally love cards, and I think that's going to be a good way for me to look at everything.
Yeah, no, it's one of the oldest traditions, and it's still around. And of course, they're doing all these cool things with the cards these days, and so they're just an excellent way, again, to highlight some of these players that people really didn't know about. And when we see these guys who transitioned from the Negro Leagues and the success that they had at the major league level, hopefully that will help people understand how much talent was there in the Negro Leagues. And I always said, had the doors opened before 1947, before Jackie breaks the color barrier, had those doors opened sooner, the record books would be entirely different because there was so much talent there in this league. And I know it's hard sometimes for people to accept that because a lot of people still carry the belief that if it didn't happen in the major leagues, then it didn't happen. But we're here to tell you, yes, it did. And it happened in a splendid way. These athletes could flat out play. They would have been stars in any league had they been given an opportunity to play.
And I really think about that because let's think here. What would happen if we had players from today playing the guys from the Negro League? That would be fun because if you really think about it, I feel like with great players like Aaron Judge versus players like Hank Aaron, it
Oh,
would
yeah. Yeah.
it would be pretty close.
Oh,
Maybe
it would be incredible. But, with each generation, the game changes a little bit, the training levels change. So, I oftentimes tell folks if the players from yesteryear were privy to the same training, same diets that our athletes are today, they would be as big a stars as they were then. They would still be big stars today because number one, they were incredible athletes. Those athletes who played in the Negro Leagues could have played any sport. But back then, you could only make a living playing baseball. The other sports were seen more or less as collegiate sports. When I tell people, Blake, that Jackie Robinson's weakest sport was baseball, that was his weakest sport. Jackie Robinson was a much better basketball, football, track athlete than he was baseball player, and some say an even better tennis player. So there was nothing that Jackie couldn't do, but baseball was his weakest sport. And so, yeah, there were some players in the Negro Leagues who were better baseball players than Jackie Robinson, and that doesn't take anything away from Jackie because he's one of the most phenomenal athletes in American sports history. It just speaks to the enormous talent that was there in the Negro Leagues. And Jackie goes into Major League Baseball and he puts together a Hall of Fame career. That tells you how special an athlete Jackie Robinson was when baseball was his weakest sport.
hey, that's an amazing thing to be really good at something, but that's not even what you're best at.
Not even your best. Not even your best.
Shows how good he was, man.
Yes, indeed.
Now, I actually want to talk a little more about a couple of different things like Banana Ball. I think they should make Banana Ball cards. What do you think about that?
I agree. And I would imagine that this is percolating around with my man Jesse Cole. And if it's not, I'm going to mention it to him. And maybe he'll cut us in on some of the proceeds from these cards because I think they would do incredibly well. And so that's a great idea. And if he hadn't thought about it, we're going to put it on the forefront of his mind to think about it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh, sorry about that. Well, I actually want to know a little bit about you, but first of all, what's some of your favorite teams and stuff in the MLB right now?
Well, I grew up in Georgia. Well, you probably didn't know. I don't know if you did or not, but I grew up in Georgia. So I'm a lifelong Atlanta Braves fan. And interestingly enough, I also, as a kid, when I was your age, I liked the New York Mets as well. And today, of course, because I live in Kansas City, I become a Kansas City Royals fan. And the Royals are such an important partner with the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. So, lifelong Atlanta Braves fan. And of course, today, a Kansas City Royals fan.
Yeah, I think sometimes it does depend on where you are, where you're raised. But for me, I mean, I support the Rockies, and it's not like I hate them, but they have done some things like trading Arenado.
But they
So
steal your team. They steal your team. Uh-huh. And no, I mean, I understand. You typically are a fan of the team that you grow up with. And no matter what, I'll be a lifelong Braves fan, and I enjoy watching my young Royals. I think we're going to have a really good team next year, and I think we got a chance to be right there in the thick of things. Last year we made the playoffs. This year we barely missed the playoffs, but I think we'll be right back in the thick of things. And it's nothing like playoff baseball. It just ignites the city, and we were playing host to the playoffs last year. People would come here to the museum because all the national media was coming into town and fans were coming into town, and we were the other baseball thing to do while they were in town. And so I missed having the playoffs here in Kansas City this year. Hopefully we'll be back in the hunt next year. It's always difficult when the Braves and Royals play in interleague play, because now I got my heartstrings over here with my childhood team, but then this is the team that I support now. So it's tough on me when they do play each other in interleague play.
yeah, now one last thing before I move on to my next thing. Thing is, my dad is a Mets fan, and thing about it is he wanted me to be a Mets fan too, just like he wanted me to be a LA Kings fan. But the thing is I think when he was showing me the board and he's like, "You should like this team," I looked at the one next to it, the Yankees, and I went, "I like Yankees."
That's not a bad team to like. I mean, it's hard. I mean, Aaron Judge is a special, special ball player, man, and one of the nicest young men I've ever met. It was such an honor to have him here at the museum because he's one of the game's biggest and brightest stars. And so, yeah, it was absolutely a thrill to welcome him to the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. The Yankees have also always had players who came by to visit the museum. Yeah, so no, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he is a nice guy. When I met him when I was at the All Star game, I mean, first of all,
He's huge.
I can't even do that. I can't even. But, no, he's a nice guy. He's nice, and
It's great to see.
he's got that nice, chill, mellow
He
tone.
really does until he gets on that field. Uh-huh. And but it's nice to see baseball get that kind of athlete because typically an athlete like Aaron Judge would either be playing tight end in the NFL or he'd be playing basketball. And the fact that this kind of athlete chose baseball gives me hope that we'll see other great athletes come back to this game because it's still, and I played college basketball, small college basketball. Baseball is still the greatest sport ever invented. There's no question about it. And so it's great to see those kinds of athletes gravitate to baseball. It makes the game far more entertaining otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, in some sport, it is better to have taller guys, but in some other sports, it doesn't matter if you're tall or not. It just is skills.
That's the beauty about baseball, though. It is one of the few sports where your physical stature does not determine whether or not you can play this game. You
Mookie
can be,
Betts.
yeah, you can be 5'5" and weigh 150 pounds and still play this game, or you can be 6'7", 6'8", like Aaron Judge and weigh 250, 260 and still play this game. But that's the beauty of baseball. Most of the sports, and there are always exceptions to the rule, but most of these sports are driven by your physical stature. You have to be a certain height now to play in the NBA because you might be on the court and there might be 10 guys who are all 6'7" and above playing out there. The game is played completely over the rim. Now there's always those exceptions. There are those breakthrough guys who come along and can play in any of these sports. Football, you got a bunch of big guys, but baseball, your stature doesn't determine. No, no, no. Yeah, you just got to have a big heart. If you got a big heart, you can play this game.
Hey, and another thing, sometimes some guys Oh, they really show it up. You know, Ant-Man in the NBA, oh boy, shows it up for his stature.
No, he's a phenomenal athlete who also loved baseball. He was a heck of a high school. He played baseball growing up, and of course, he's a fabulous basketball player. Uh, but he harkens back to me to the kind of athlete that called the Negro Leagues home. They were multifaceted athletes. They could have played anything, and they gravitated to baseball because, again, baseball was really the only way that you were going to make a living playing a team sport.
Yeah. And I actually want to move on to something I want to really talk to you about.
Hmm.
So, knowing about, how much you truly do care about Negro League, I want to, first of all, show you something. Now, this is my little sport card here, my little baseball card. And I want to talk to you about autographs, first of all, because
Yeah.
I have my own. Let me get one right here. You can get me yours. Oh, or if you already are. I don't know if you already are, but I think you are. You understood the assignment. There's mine.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because you have my little cross here because I'm Christian, and then you got my B, and then AKE, and then a little G on the cliff.
Okay.
And I want to talk to you about autographs because I think they help define a person. And one thing I'm doing is that's why this podcast is called INKsight, because I will not only just talk to the person about insight into their life, but INKsight more about their autograph. And I do it for my brand new charity. I've just started the Blake Project, because what I'll do with some of these people that I bring on, like you, is I'll get them to sign some things, and then we auction those things off,
Hmm.
raise money for my foundation. And what my foundation does is we try to raise kind of educational stuff to help kids who need education and their parents are veterans or first responders.
Oh, that's very cool. That is very cool. Congratulations, man. I love it when I see our young people engage with wanting to help others because I think we are all called to service. And it's so cool when I see young people giving of themselves to help others. There's no more gratifying experience than when you do something to help other people. I try to instill that in my own children. And of course, we see that a great deal with people here in Kansas City, which is such a wonderful philanthropic town. They take care of each other. And I love that. And in our society, that becomes really, really important that we love each other and take care of one another. That's our calling as human beings.
Yes, and when I was born 2 months premature, and I was in the NICU for a while, about a month. And you know, as I've gotten older, I realized how lucky I am to be here, but also that I shouldn't waste what I have, shouldn't waste my opportunity that I'm
Yes.
here on this planet, and so I just give back as much as I can to others so they can enjoy their life here.
Yeah. No, I think it was the great Muhammad Ali that said service is the rent that we pay for our room here on earth. And that's what we want to do. That's the gratitude that we should have and being able and willing to lend a hand when people need a hand. And so I applaud you and your effort and what your foundation is doing and thrilled to be able to support you and your endeavors as well. So congratulations on that.
Thank you, Bob. And I just gotta say, I hope that I can continue supporting you and the Negro League Museum, and I hope in the future maybe you can help support me.
I'll be happy to.
Human being, like you said, man. Just well, I want to say something real quick. I hope I'm not taking up too much of your time right now.
No, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm enjoying talking with you.
Okay, okay. Just to finish off a little bit more, I want to know what do you think's the best barbecue place in Kansas City?
Ooh, man, there's so many of them, Blake. Now, I'm a little bit partisan to Gates Barbecue, but let me preface this by saying I might be a tad bit biased because Ali Gates, who is the owner of Gates Barbecue, I believe he's 92, 93 years old now, and he's still doing it. He's helping me build the Buckle Neal Education and Research Center. So maybe I'm just a tad bit biased, but I still enjoy Gates Barbecue. I love them all though. If I could create a meal from, from all of them, I might take something from Gates and then something from Jack Stacks, something from Q39, something from LC's. There's just so many great establishments here to eat barbecue. Arthur Bryant's is right down the street from the museum, but Gates is probably my favorite.
Hey, and I bet having that many barbecue places around keeps you full, pretty
It,
full.
it
And
definitely keeps you full because almost any and everybody who comes into Kansas City wants to meet with me. That's what they want to do. They eat barbecue. They want to eat barbecue. So I have to be careful because I can't eat barbecue every day.
And man, when I get there, I think the sound of a sweet, salty crust on ribs with some
Oh man.
nice
Oh,
Kansas City barbecue sauce is gonna sound amazing after a flight.
yeah,
Woo!
there are some staples that come along with KC barbecue, and the burn-ins have become a delicacy here in Kansas City, and no one does burn-ins like they do here in Kansas City. So between the burn-ins and the ribs, you can't go wrong, and no one does baked beans like they do here in Kansas City. These things are must-have when you come to KC.
Okay, okay. I hear you. I hear you. And hey, if you want to send me a quick email of some of those places, I will be happy to put them down to look on Open Table and Yelp. And I don't know. Thank you for the recommendations. Now, I think I might want to end this off here. I really don't want to take too much of your time, and I
Okay.
still got homework. Well, thank you so much, Bob. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being on.
Oh, it's been my absolute pleasure. I'm so glad that we could finally get connected because I know we've been trying to get connected here for a little while, and my crazy schedule is just that little crazy. But I'm so glad that we could finally carve out some time between your schedule and my schedule for us to hook up and have this conversation.
And hey, I think sometimes a busy schedule isn't exactly a bad thing. I think
No, no,
yeah,
it's much
staying busy, staying busy.
much better to be busy than not. Yeah, no, if I'm sitting around twiddling my thumbs, that is not good. No, we constantly have a lot of great things happening here at the museum. And of course, we're planning now, Blake, to build a brand new Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. So the current museum is about 10,000 square feet of exhibit space. So it's not an overwhelmingly large footprint, but there's a lot of information in those 10,000 square feet, and it's beautifully curated. But the new museum, proposed museum, is going to be over 30,000 square feet of space. And so I'm excited about the challenge of raising what we need to raise about $35 million to build this new museum. And as I tell people, I'm as excited as you could possibly be about having to raise $35 million. But we will get there, and this thing is going to be amazing. I can't wait to cut the ribbon on a brand new Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. I hope to have this completed sometime maybe in the spring of 28 if everything goes well. But we're out there right now knocking on doors, trying to raise the money to build this new museum and be able to tell even more stories than what we're capable of telling in our current space because it is a little bit confining, but also to be able to grow our team here at the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum as well. And so it's very exciting times for us, as we look at the future of this great museum.
Hey, and when you cut that ribbon, I will try to be there. I'll
Well,
come.
I'm going to make sure that I extend an invitation to you and your dad to come and join us here in Kansas City for that ribbon cutting. It's going to, I hope, be a proverbial who's who of people involved with the opening of this museum when we get to that point, man. I can't wait for that to happen.
And to make it come sooner, I'll try to find like $20 in my wallet, maybe. You know what?
But you know what? As I tell people all the time, there is no gift too small and there is no gift too large. Every buck counts. It gets us a little bit closer to our goal.
And I hope you reach that goal by when you want to, and you keep persevering with you and all the people over there at the Negro Leagues Museum. I really hope for the best for you guys, and I'm very excited to see where it all goes.
Well, man, I appreciate that and thank you for that encouragement. And we'll get there. We'll get there. I'm excited to build a new house, as I like to say, for my friend, the late great Buck O'Neill. Build him a new house, something that people will be so tremendously proud of. And like I said, it'll give us an opportunity to tell new stories, but to expand on the existing stories that we tell, hopefully to acquire even more artifacts to be on display that helps bring these stories to life. And so it's going to be a special, special place.
And I bet it will be more than just special, but it will be great. It will be beautiful.
Yeah,
I
man, I'm
again,
excited.
not to take
Looking
up too
forward to
much
it.
time. See you on the flip side, and don't forget to check the Royals schedule so we can
Yeah, yeah,
plan this
yeah.
out.
No, no, man. I'm looking forward to you coming to Kansas City. Like I said, we're going to eat ribs, go to a Royals game, check out the Negro League Baseball Museum. That's quite the trip there. That's going to be pretty special.
Yeah, here, wait, I just got news. Hold up. There we go. We got two different dates. Saturday
Oh,
and Thursday. Oh, wait. And hey, if we can, we should probably try either bananas one or which one do you
oh,
think?
yeah, that's right. The Bananas are playing the Clowns at Coors Field. And if my schedule works out, I plan to be there in Denver for that game.
Hey, when you come here, even though we're not known that much for like certain foods, I know a couple good places around
All
Coors.
right, well, you know what? You got a deal. You got a deal. I love Denver. I've always enjoyed. My first All Star game was at Coors Field. My very first All Star game that I ever attended was at Coors Field.
What year?
And of course, I love playing golf in Denver. So between going to a game to check out the Bananas and the Indianapolis Clowns, maybe give me a chance to sneak off and hit the golf ball a little bit, and would be just incredible to meet with you and your dad and go have a good meal together somewhere.
Hey, two fun things. Actually, my first All Star game was at Coors Field, and also we live on a golf course, and I love it here. There's so many golf courses around golf. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. So man, so I'm in. I'm in. Count me in.
We're set up. We're ready to go. Two different locations, two different kinds of baseball games. Oh my god, I'm running out of breath. Hey, and how about this? I'll take you here, and then you take me there.
You got a deal. You
All
got a
right.
deal. It's on.
I will see you in person. Whatever way comes quicker, and I will see you there.
I'm looking forward to it, Blake.
It's been great, Bob. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You are so welcome. My pleasure.
See you.
Okay, see you, man. Take care now.
All right.
All right.
Wait.